split push pick mentality. Pick and ban so far has generally been banned out for the majority of the games, certainly in the European scene.
And I think the Ziggs, again, as you said, has been... That's the difference between our Chinese and Southeast Asian teams. They're happy to let it open because they think they can maybe deal with it. Clearly, SBTC weren't able to deal with it, as it was one of the key factors for DKG wins both times around. Team Queso are not going to take that chance, and they are going to ban it away. Acolyte, so rather the Camille gets banned away here from eBRO. Heavy targeting from eBRO towards Andre. His Kha'Zix is taken off the board, and his Lee Sin is gone as well. They know who the standout carry on Team Queso is, and they don't want him to get his comfort champion.
And they take away the Galio from Ruiz. It is a champion that he did very, very well and has been focused on, but Ruiz does have a couple more picks to go into that one. The question is, where's that Galio going to be played?
Well, that's the flexibility of it. It denies it from Ruiz first and foremost, right? So he's not going to get his hands on that big team fight champion. It can very easily go mid or support though, right? But the Senna left open. Fasting Senna is an option here, but with Galio gone and Gragas gone. Very strong Kai'Sa player. He was kind of previously known before as being like a Xayah Kai'Sa 2-trick, but Xayah Kai'Sa is not exactly mega strong, and you're playing support center, which I think diminishes the power of this pick a significant amount. Now, that is a very strong anti-melee coming out from Acolyte. You could not ask for a better comp to try and play into, as long as you're not getting CC'd to death. You've got 3 melee champions you can feed off in these team fights. Xayah Rakan would be a very good roundup to this comp if you want to go for it here for eBRO Gaming.
Obviously, Acolyte played a lot of Darius throughout the Origin Series finals, but the Xayah Rakan is a strong dragon lane. We know what that's all about. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that Kai'Sa set.
navigate a Rakan, a Jarvan, a Galio, and a Renekton. Like, how do you navigate that if you're not ahead? And that's my problem with Team Queso here. They need to get ahead for their comp to really take off.
I think that's Kite, just quietly having a moment to himself there. Eyes closed, getting himself prepared for that. And something, you know, we love to point out is the fact that these guys are in a studio. They are there, you know. This is a high pressure situation, literally facing off against your opposition. Something we unluckily have not been able to do for the last 2 years, but here we are, the players in Singapore. We're still remote, but it doesn't matter.
This series, their chances of exiting the group become significantly slimmer. And I think Team Queso realized that. If you're a European fan, you need them to win this. Obviously, if you're a Latin American fan, you're behind eBRO, this is also a team that, you know, a game that you need to win. And eBRO, they're kind of putting a bit of Team Queso's medicine against them. They're committing 2 members to that mid lane first wave push.
Yeah, Group B, this one's from, obviously, Sengoku, Team Secret, and Thunder Talk Gaming from China. The other teams that they will be facing off against. And that's what makes this a must-win. Quick gold card from Ruiz, putting the pressure on Tix, a lot of pressure on Tix as well. He's going to get a stacked deck there as well, and that is going to really put the pressure down. The exhaust was burned as well, coming out from Tix, so he's going to have to sit very deep on that tower for a moment and get himself that honey fruit.
I can tell you, the TF Galio level 1 is awful for Galio, especially if you pick up your third ability first for TF. You can win by just having pure AD pressure, like pure auto attack pressure, and that's generally how you win that matchup and how you win that very early laning phase. You can see that Easy's just having to come in to trying to provide a bit of pressure for Tix, because Tix struggling versus Ruiz right now, and Ruiz kind of putting a lot of pressure on both of them 2v1.
I think Andre went for the auto hitting the ability there rather than actually aiming at the champion, because he hit the minion. I'm pretty sure he wanted to hit the Galio instead there. So either way, Scuttle Crab is going to go way down the bottom. That's going to be obviously the top Scuttle Crab for Queso as well. So just trading back and forward. This is what we're talking about. We're wondering, you know, we do often see I was just wondering whether Andre had actually confirmed that. We do often see a couple of these early fights around that Scuttle Crab, but at the moment it's going to be pretty standard. Essus in the roam, as you'd expect. You can see the trade going through as Andre takes the blue himself.
Yeah, they're actually going to do a bit of vertical jungling here. So they're actually splitting the map down the mid lane rather than down the river. And Andre actually going to get a little bit more out of his invade as well. He doesn't have the pressure coming out from Hache to sort of stop him going for this this blue side clear. Whereas you saw that Memorized and Ibu, they walked into their own jungle to try and pressure away EZs from the Gromp here. As you can see, Ibu and Memorized going to play this very carefully. You can see Jaffy and Kite were looking for the engage. You can see EZs with his ultimate is hanging around right now. Can Memorize buy enough time though?
Gonna happen, it doesn't look like we'll back away. Memorize gonna keep the pressure on and force him away there. So time lost, time delayed. Didn't lose out too much from that one, but Andre had gone back to buy in the meantime, so he's gonna be on a quicker wave clear at the moment. Say wave for the jungle clear path than Essus is.
Yeah, and it's all calmed down a little bit after that crazy little level 1 in the mid lane. You can see that right now Andre just trying to clear camps, trying to farm up as much as possible, working towards that Triforce first item. So very heavy kind of damage threat Olaf. We expect Andre to have that kind of role with his team, and obviously 45 seconds until the Rift Herald spawns. We already see Jastly making those roams over. What's really interesting is we've seen a mid lane switch here from Titan Jastly, and Tix has stayed on the bottom side of the map. We know that Tix can do this because as a Galio, you can very quickly respond on the map by just moving up and using your ultimate to cross, clear very big distances. I imagine we'll now see Ruiz head down towards the bot lane and match him, and then do the same thing should a fight break out around the Rift Herald.
A couple of entrances, Grand and the Heroes generally going to be stacked up. That's what eBRO are going to be all about. But here we go, 10 seconds on the timer. Everybody goes back for Queso. You know what that means. It is time actually for Dragon for them. So they're focusing Dragon rather than Rift Herald. This is a switch up to what they've been focusing on throughout the Origin series. Their focus was always on that Rift Herald. But look at the team fight. They're going to try and get up to Jassy there. They're going to try and catch him out, but it's not going to be. And now the game has been given away. Queso looking for that early pick to try and set an advantage up. Doesn't work out.
Well, it is Infernal Drake, so probably the most important Drake out of any of the four, so I understand why the priority is there. I really love what eBRO are doing, though. Every time Team Queso is positioned to go for the Dragon, they get mid lane prio. They shove that mid lane wave in and make it difficult for Queso to make that commit happen, but that's a big engage.
That's a great lockup as well. Isis has to get away. Jasley can't get away. Does get taken down, and that's Queso going to be taking that first Dragon. No doubt about that. It did reset, but they should be able to pick it up without any troubles.
You see Ruiz commits to the bot side of the map here. Looks like eBRO are trying to kind of lick their wounds and head and create some pressure around the Rift Herald, but it was a beautiful little engage from Team Queso to pick up the kill there. Let's take a look at the Axe replay and have a look at exactly how this went down. Watch and memorize. I think it's just a really great route. Yeah, a really great route on EZ. He catches 3 members and they get pulled in. Once that setup comes through, they land the dunk, and that gets the kill, the first blood for Acolyte. Just a beautiful setup by Memorize there. And unfortunately, they walk straight in and root 3 members of their team. Nothing they could do about it. And now Andre and the rest of Team Queso setting up for another fight around the Rift Herald here, displaying dominance early on into the game as they build up an almost 3,000 gold lead very early.
Big gold leads out this way. I do believe some of them went back to buy as well, straight up the Dragon, so they may have already put that into items. As Ruiz looks for that gold card, not going to find it. Will take that blue away in the background. Did he actually secure that?
No, Andre got it. Andre stole it.
He did manage to steal it with the axe, yeah.
The undertow over the wall picks it up. That's an engage with Jasley.
What? They're doing? They're going in. Is this already backed away? That is a random engage from EPG, if I say so the most. Didn't really expect that. And I don't think Queso did. The gold card will go through, and Queso will just clean this up. That was a very split engage from EPG.
They're going for another fight on Kai. Managed to get the double root off, but that was like watching lemmings, mate. Like one by one, they walk off the cliff.
It was Ezis and was it Hayes that was off to the left? I'm looking at Hayes is backing. Ezis is off there, and they engage.
And Jasley goes to the 3v4 engage here, misses the knockup, gets a charm on to Memorize. But watch this, what the timing from Andre, has his ultimate proc, doesn't get knocked up by Tix, can happily stay in the middle of the hero's entrance and take him down. Andre absolutely popping right now on this Olaf. But honestly, you can analyze this whichever way you want. The realistic outcome was that eBRO just went for a 3v4 engage where they completely fluffed the knockup. It was just a poor engage timing coming out from Jasley there.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it caught me guessing. I was like, they're going for an engage. I was all getting ready to set that one up and getting ready to go. But you know what? It ain't over yet, because Acolyte now, along with Hayes. And now this is because Acolyte's feeling strong at the moment, has got himself in there. Justy tries to come down and help out, but Acolyte is a pretty beastly character himself. They have got identical items, as you can see, so shouldn't be too much of a problem, and that's going to be top turret focus that we see quite often from Queso.
Well, they're just an easy cross map as well. You saw so many resources come in. Hash has to be very careful. I think he's going to get dumped. He'll get dumped, right?
Is he going to be off? I don't think it should be. Not going to bring it to the Dominus running, but that should get him down. Is he going to turn him around? Oh no! The lifesteal and tankiness that he has already. Oh, you hate to see it, Esses. That is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, and now mid lane as well. Just TQ happy to take that cross map pressure and get yet another tower out of the engage. eBRO just falling apart right now. Acolyte again, we talked about the strength of the Darius into heavy melee comps. Doesn't matter because we're not seeing team fights, but he's still styling on them 2v1. EZ has not had a good game though. Good dunk onto Hayes, takes him out of the fight completely. EZ walks in, dunk. He thinks he's going to get the burst damage out, but Acolyte just too strong. Has that barrier available as well. And that is ridiculous. Now Acolyte in a super strong spot.
Yeah, the apprehend was just so well timed that now he's in such a confident situation. He can just dunk away on a Renekton. You know, that is the tankiest member on EBG. That is the guy that should be able to stand toe to toe with him. Oh no, Andre with the dunk as well. This is going very quickly away from them. Okay, 2v1. This is got him, I think.
He might actually win this.
Oh my god, he gets the dunk. Oh, I should laugh, but my god, you love to see a 2v1 like that.
Oh my gosh, that was so clean. Acolyte as well. Beautiful stuff from him, and again, he is single-handedly creating enough map pressure to allow his team to do whatever they want on the other side of the map. Acolyte himself has been the sole reason that towers have dropped in both mid and top, and also these dragons have gone down without any contest from eBRO. And look, eBRO definitely came in as underdogs. They're now 10k gold behind at 9 minutes of the game. Team Queso on a surefire track to win this. But if you are a European fan, and I think we could just watch this. I don't think I need to analyze this too much. This is just beautiful stuff. I mean, like, you can see why Darius is picked up in these anti-melees, uses the barrier to buy himself some time, makes the apprehend before he goes for the decimate, by the way. The apprehend basically sets them up so he can walk back and get a beautiful set of healing. You can see these guys just, look at them, they're standing up, they're loving it. This is great stuff from Jason.
Well, there it goes straight for the engagement once again. This is all going Queso's way, but now we can see a couple of kills for eBRO. In comes Acolyte, though. The Danger Man has arrived. Gets himself a great turn on them. H is going to get dunked by 1 and 2. That is an Ola from Andre and the dunk again. Gets himself the double. Kite will back away, but that wasn't that bad a fight for them. A 4 for 3 when they're 10k gold down. That's a win for EBG.
I mean, you definitely take those. You definitely take those. Take a look again at the replay. We can see how this is shaped out. I think Team Queso just a little bit overzealous here. I think they think they're stronger than they are. They're going for a 1-3-1, so their team is completely split. And again, you do have to respect the engaged potential of a Jarvan and Rakan, and that is kind of what was let slip here for Team Queso. They just didn't expect how easy it was for the Jarvan and Rakan to look for the 5 versus 3 engagements teleporting through as well. But here we go. Acolyte finally joining the fight. The man at the moment, the guy with all of the gold. And once he's here, able to kind of build back some resources for Team Queso. Justly didn't expect that dunk to be transferred straight over to him, but it happens, and it is still technically a win for Team Queso at the end of the day.
I mean, you know, obviously we're going to look at this. Well, I'll get back to that in a moment, because as it's just going for anything, it looks like EBG just want to fight, and they may well work out to get memorized down. Kai round the backside, though, has Andre on him, and that's a real problem. Andre gets 1, Andre gets 2, looking for a 3rd. Doesn't matter, there's no one else to kill, because they've all gone. Hayes tries to back away, but it is a 4 for 1 for Queso.
This reminds me of one of the memes that we saw during the League of Legends World Championships. When Ez's team is 10k gold down, he fights because he feels that they have to. And that is exactly what Ez is doing every single time. Just forcing the engage, regardless of what the potential outcome could be. He just forces the engage on the Jarvan because he thinks there's no other way that his team can stand a chance here. And realistically, I don't know how much of a chance eBRO have got from this position. They're going to have to recollect for the next game. Team Queso has been dominant from start to finish here. And I'm going to say, you know, I'm going to phrase it like this. Obviously, we knew eBRO were underdogs coming into this, and I don't think, you know, we should pretend otherwise. But if you're a Team Queso fan, you wanted them to have this level of performance.
Yes.
This is what you needed from Team. He says again,
I mean, I don't really know how to break this one down other than the fact that they are likely to get caught out here. Talk comes through. Andre has to actually back away, but now look how low they are. And Ibu is licking his lips, licking his chops, and thinking he can take this one, but he's up against the Zaya. That is a dangerous thing. Does he in the end have to get away from that one? But now the gold card will come through, and that will be Jasly and Kite both down. Acolyte's going to get himself another dunk. The stun comes through, but it's only a matter of time until Tix gets dunked on. And that is a ace, and well, not quite the game yet because they are going to go for the Baron.
Yeah, and actually they can't even push down mid to end because there are already members of eBRO Gaming respawning, but it is an easy Baron setup right now for Team Queso. Just as soon as it spawns, they are ready to take it off the map. And we'll take a look back again. And he says, you know, frankly, this is the way they think they have to play the game. We knew that the Latam region were brawl heavy fighters. We knew that their team fight style would just go in all the time. But it's so beautiful to see it actually happen in person. I know it's not working out for them, but you have to respect a team that doesn't have the fear. Like they know this is the way that they know that they're slowly losing, right? They know that they're slowly losing. So you have to respect a team that can.
But there's always that chance that they might come out on top.
You have to respect the team. They're like we get the man advantage, right? They think they have the man advantage. They think they can pick off a couple of Team Queso in a 5 versus 3 because they have the superior engage. They think that's their only way back into the game. And I'm going to be realistic with you. If they can make it work, it probably would be one of their only avenues back into the game. And I've got to respect a team that just straight up goes for it, like eBRO Gaming do.
So I see is that you just turtle up and slowly wither away, which is almost.
Well, you don't scale, right? You don't scale on this team. So there is no turtling here.
I mean, if you were to look back at the game, well, I mean, it just goes in. And actually got, I think Memorize got a 4-man there on the Zen. I think that was just catching everything they can. They have got Acolyte down. They did manage to take Acolyte down, but Ibu is on cleanup duty. He goes gold. Memorize should come in there. There goes the Olaf onto the fountain. Actually will get caught out as well. They will get the Nexus down in the end, though, and it will be Queso picking themselves up. Game number 1 here, which I think, you know, yes, it's a great win. Yes, it's a confident win for Queso. It's definitely a team that obviously builds on that sort of hyper-confidence plays. But I think, to be brutally honest, we're going to look back at that sort of mid-lane play, that mid-lane engage, that 3v4 that was just completely split, and say that was the moment where EVG kind of let this game slip away.
And I think also Queso just flexing a little bit. You could feel it in that game. They were just flexing a little bit, but they kind of had to, if I'm honest with you. Like I said, this is a game if you're an EU fan, they needed to come in to dominate. Everybody kind of expected eBRO Gaming to be the underdogs and the team that was less likely to take the victory here. But I've got to be honest, Queso showed exactly what, as a European fan, I wanted them to show, which is just pure dominance. You know, complete control of the map, never let eBRO Gaming get in. But I mean, all credit to eBRO Gaming. Izez is an absolute no fear, no fight, you know, just goes all in all the time. It was great to see.
I mean, it's entertaining. It's entertaining, that's for sure. Yes, it didn't work out, and it's great to see a Darius dunking so heavily. Actually, it was the Darius and the Olaf dunking so heavily throughout that one. But definitely a big mental edge for Queso that they're going to be looking for. I would say this is probably like the perfect game one for Queso to maybe try and set them up for brighter things throughout the tournament.
Yeah, potentially, but I think we are all done here, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic stuff. We're going to go down, I believe, over to Tigress once again in Singapore to hear what's going on down on the floor. Table, would they change things around? I know Acolyte had a lot of fun in that last game, but now we are back to the serious business. eBRO, you can see, you know, getting back together, getting their chance, getting that team camaraderie. They look pretty relaxed in the break there. I'm not going to lie. It didn't look like a team that just lost. I think they're coming into this with nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think you have to be realistically. Like, you clearly were outclassed a little bit in the first game, so you need to come into the second game with everything on the line. Just throw everything at the wall and see if something sticks. And I think that's the way that eBRO are going to have to approach this. They clearly are, and it's so funny because we were doing the sort of the pre-tournament analysis and research, and all that I could see from eBRO is that they just love to skirmish, they love to fight, they'll engage whenever they can. To see that in the flesh was hilarious. It was awesome to just see that that is their style and they stick to it, even when they're 10k gold down. Izez is like, nah, we're going in, and that is just really, really fun to watch. And I think that's a great style to have on broadcast. But I think Team Queso, you know, you're hoping for a clean 2-0 here if you're a European fan. It gets you off to a good start. They definitely are drafting very differently to some of the Southeast Asian and Chinese teams. But I think overall, Team Queso looking good, and you need them to look good in this matchup if you're a European fan.
And I do wonder, obviously, a lot of the research going into this saying, you know, that EVG likes to play through ticks, play through the mid laner. The problem is when he's on a Galio, he's not the guy to play through. He is the support. So I wonder if, you know, maybe they took Galio as a opportunity more than anything else, and maybe they're going to switch it up and give him something that he can maybe carry with this time around. Same bans coming through so far as game one. Now I do wonder if they're thinking, do we ban Galio away and take that away from Ruiz?
Well, I mean, also it is one of the, again, with the Gragas down, it's one of the key elements that you pair up with the Senna. Or of course, it didn't matter for Team Queso this time round, and Team Queso were the type of team in the Origin series who didn't need to play fasting Senna to pick Senna. iBRO picked Senna as an AD carry, Memorize picked Senna as a support. It didn't matter who you paired it with, they just value that pick very highly overall. But Galio is the clear denial if you want to deny the standard fasting Senna duo lane, because if Galio is not picked up here, Aurelion Sol.
Okay.
That's interesting. It's definitely a spanner in the works. You don't get to play against Aurelion Sol that much, especially when you're scrimming. Not many people are picking this champion because it's not in a super strong spot right now.
It was Unicorns of Love that picked it. We were talking about it before the show, actually, wasn't it? It was Unicorns of Love that played it in the Origin Series finals. I don't know whether that was against Queso. I would have to double check. But for Queso, they're delighted. I mean, it gives them the Senna Galio. Yeah, the thumbs up comes out from Ruiz. It's just like, thanks for that, bros.
Yeah, legit. Like, this is the iconic Senna lane that you run on the bottom side of the map here. iBRO will likely play Senna. However, I don't want to call it clear-cut just yet because we know that Ruiz is a huge Galio player, right? So we know that Ruiz loves the Galio. So
we know that H loves Darius.
Exactly.
He got the pentacle on it, didn't he?
He did indeed. Darius is a very strong pick right now, especially given how heavy melee engaged type comps we are used to seeing. It's going to be the Olaf locked in now as well, so it's going to deny that away from Andre. Andre does have his Kha'Zix should he want it. Now, I would say the Kha'Zix in competitive is not as strong as it is in the solo queue ladder. Kha'Zix is a lot easier to shut down, especially when you've got a lot of CC in your team, but Kha'Zix is available if Andre wants it. Ruiz is going to lock in the Twisted Fate, so that will be a Galio Senna bot lane here for Team Queso.
I'm going to go on a limb and say Kha'Zix is that missing ban. I reckon.
Okay, because we just don't have maybe we just don't have the icon up on stream. That might be the case.
Yeah. But Twisted Fate picked in once again for Ruiz. So we saw what he could do with it in the first game. We know he's going to be loving that split push. That's what obviously you bring to win the tables, and it does mean that Andre will be on the Graves.
Seen a lot of power in the Graves already. I mean, Huiba showed that it was an incredible pick in that second game of the series versus FBTC. Andre is the standout player on the Team Queso roster, despite the fact that Acolyte obviously popped off in the previous game. It's usually been about Andre, so giving him the Graves is a great start. Zyra Khan would be the likely lock-in here.
Yep.
It's generally a pretty safe lane, doesn't have any bad matchups realistically, and you know that you're going to have a lot of teamfight presence with that. And again, EVG drafting a very engage-heavy comp once more. Like the Aurelion Sol engage, the Rakan engage. They're going to be looking to brawl. They're going to be looking to fight. That's what their team comp is all about. Let's see what Andre locks in though as a counter here. The Renekton is available should he want it, and I think Renekton is a relatively good choice all round right now. He's a really strong Baron lane pick. There is things like, I expect it. There were obviously things like the Riven, and it's really interesting to see how highly things like the Riven are taken away versus the Southeast Asian and Chinese teams. Yet Riven isn't even considered in these drafts, which is, I think, going to be one of those elements that really breaks up the regional meta, because Riven is widely considered one of the best picks in the game right now, but these two teams didn't even sniff the Riven. That sounds like a terrible phrase. Sniff, but they didn't even look at the Riven when it came to their drafts. But Renekton is the sensible choice in this matchup to kind of round things out for Team Queso.
Yeah, I mean, it's the role reverse, right, of what H was up against in the previous matchup, obviously against Acolyte. The biggest part for me is obviously their choice of when and where to team fight. We saw, obviously, Jastly was looking for those engages, not always in the right time. That's what I want to see. I want to see improvements on that. S is, of course, not going to be on the J4 this time around, on the Olaf, so it's going to be having to run into those fights and try and back it up. Not a great deal of knock-up, actually. There is a relatively tanky front line going to be stomping through for you for EBG, but for Queso, this is something we've seen from them time and time again. This is a very comfortable lineup for them.
Yeah, this is, as you said, ideal lineup for Team Queso. They'll have had months of experience playing these types of champions over the course of the last few months, especially eBRO. And I'm going to say, eBRO was one of those players going into the Origin series where we had doubts about his capabilities and about what he provided to the team. He absolutely giga-smurfed on Senna. You know, like when he was given Senna, he was really, really rolling over teams. And I think eBRO is one of those players that stepped up massively in that leap to the Origin Series finals, and clearly, you know, heading to the Horizon Cup, hopefully carrying that same momentum.
Absolutely. So we'll see how this one rolls out. People asking why they didn't pick Caitlyn. Caitlyn not available, as far as I'm aware. Two newer champions. Standardly, they're gonna have a certain amount of time in the open world before they're allowed to be played out in the tournaments like this.
Yeah, I think Caitlyn is one of those picks. I don't want to talk too much about it because she's not going to be available, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's like insanely strong, but I think she's pretty good. I think she's one of those, I think she's one of those picks that will probably see competitive play when she's allowed. But alas, not available. We're not going to talk about too much about her. Let's focus on what we've got right now. I think Team Queso have got pure comfort here. And I think, you know, Galio is a great tool as well to deal with heavy melee comps in his own right. Galio is, again, another very good anti-melee champion just because of the amount of CC that he provides in those kind of close quarter team fights. So this is actually another good addition to kind of shut down. Obviously, Olaf is a great answer because he can ignore all 3C. Look at this, though. It's Fiesta in mid lane right now. Oof.
I mean, we're obviously looking towards this game and saying, will we see level 1 fights? And we're like, nah. But you know what? They certainly go looking for it every time, but nobody's sort of pulling out the big fights yet. We'll see whether we get anything more coming out. But, of course, in terms of lane matchups, we've got the Darius Renekton in the top lanes. We know what the jungler's all about. It is the Olaf and Graves. Down here in the Dragon lane, of course, the Xayah Rakan, a very popular combo that Queso themselves use a lot of, up against the Galio Senna. And we know what this one's all about. Senna is going to be a monster. Memorized is very good at those engages. Going to be looking towards those stuns from Ruiz, trying to make those big heroes entrances.
I think actually what we've seen a lot from Team Queso, especially their bot lane, is that reimagining of their identity. Like that identity of that they are only Xayah Rakan players is very much, you know, shattered when we got to the Origin series. That's not what they played, and they actually opted away from that when they had it open to them several times. And I think that's something that we should try and keep in mind, is that actually, even though, so careful here,
cheeky undertow. Oh, Tick's having to
Jesus, just flash that.
He did flash. I was looking at, I heard the flash noise. I was looking around. I was like, who flashed? And it was. He's just kind of failed, flashed it, or
no? I think he anticipated the gold card, and actually Ruiz locked in the red card, but I think he anticipated the gold card.
But I'm pretty sure he flashed in on the spot. I don't think he went anywhere.
No, I thought he flashed away from Ruiz, but yeah, I just think he anticipated the gold card there, and therefore was like, I don't want to get stunned and then locked down by Graves. Looks like this is great. I actually really like this from eBRO though. Yep. There was cover on the blue buff from Tix. He went over and covered that blue buff, and now it's a little slow in terms of vertical jungle splitting. There's a huge amount of priority in the bot lane again for eBRO Gaming, and they get a really good take on that blue side jungle. And actually now, I think Andre's gonna have to be a little careful. He doesn't exactly have priority mid, and so sticking around on top of that ward, it's very clear where he is right now.
Yeah, trying to hang around, gets himself damage down, but as you say, Heish is very much ready for this, and you've got to be very careful pushing onto Darius under the tower, as he just beautifully showed us there how dangerous he can be. He's just going to back away, so Andre Jastly makes an appearance, just sending that support up there just in case. So, okay, right, let's start to focus. Objective time going to be coming up. We're obviously going to be starting to look towards the Rift Herald in just a few moments. It is going to depend on what the first dragon comes out. It is likely to be Queso that will focus on Rift Herald this time around.
Yeah, Ocean is not exactly a hugely impactful Drake, and so therefore you would feel with the fact that you've got top lane priority naturally, you don't have bot lane priority, the Rift Herald would be the natural focus. Although I will say that Andre, not quite on that side of the map, but I imagine he clears Gromp and heads towards his top red side. But yeah, I feel like just given how much natural priority you have on the Renekton lane, that would be your natural place to put some resources. And the fact is that you're struggling in this bot lane right now. Obviously not looking like it right now as they shove that lane in, but definitely feels like I would be focusing Rift Herald if I'm Team Queso this game.
Yeah, definitely going to be much slower pace as well because of that. Where is Twisted Fate going to go? It's going to go straight down, looking in towards Kite, but he should just be able to hop, skip, and a jump away from that one. So kind of a wasted jump, but there was no minion wave to worry about. So Rui is almost just taxing the lane out, as it were. Worth looking for it. Speaking of looking for it, Heish in trouble. Gets to use the barrier, and that was very well timed by Acolyte. Has he got the chance to dive in? Doesn't really have the minion. The apprehend coming out from Heish. He might be able to turn this one around to a dunk, but here comes Andre. That's why they were trying to wait for the collateral damage. Got dodged out of by Heish there, and that has backfired by Queso.
Yeah, and they still have the chance to go for the kill right now. There's the Era's entrance.
Apprehend, not ready, not in time. Memorize comes in. Did he get the assist? Yes, he did, just in time there, and Andre will pick up the kill.
This is really good from eBRO now because they used that natural commit of resources from Queso and great defense, by the way, from Heish to make that happen. They used that natural commit of resources to go for the dragon uncontested, and because they wasted so much time top and Andre unfortunately wasn't able to get a setup on the Rift Herald, they are gonna double objective Queso very early on, which is an amazing start for eBRO Gaming. What a turn of events from their previous game. They're a little bit behind in gold right now, but this is a great start in terms of objective control for this team.
The main worry is when it comes to that big team fight comps that Queso are going to be looking for. They know how to stack out that hero's entrance with Acolyte. It's, you know, almost roles reverse exactly what EBG were trying to do in the previous game, but Queso may well execute it better. We will find out in a moment because you can see they're starting to sweep out for that Drake. With the Rift Herald gone away from them. Scuttle Crab could be huge, and that's going to get picked up by EBG.
I think Andre actually smited it away.
Did he?
So, yeah, he gets the smite.
Yes, he did. No, you're right. You're right. He's got it.
I don't think Izez was in position to get the smite off here. Right, I'm going into a bit of a split push pressure right now. You can see Rui's just trying to pressure out Heish as much as possible. Heish does not have that photo belt right now.
He's looking to try and get something away from this one. Memorize actually in a bit of a sticky situation around the back there. Great flash away. Puts him out of the position now. And that should set up an easy Drake for Queso there. Just a little back away. And yeah, Rui's using his ulti just to get himself back in mid, clear the wave.
Yeah, no Drake just yet, but obviously on the horizon pretty soon. Right, eBRO and Andre just going to shove this bot lane wave in. Loads of souls going straight over to eBRO. Is exactly what you want as a center. Just generate as many souls as possible in the early game. Like really a good barometer. By the time the second Drake comes around, you want to be hitting like 40. If you can hit 40 by the time the second Drake comes around, you're scaling really well. So this is a good start for Ibu, and he's going to be really, really happy that he's essentially gone unpunished in the early game. Like you give away a center lane like this, and you just let her scale up. That's not a good look for eBRO. I will praise eBRO for the way they've approached these objectives, but the game is not won yet, E-Man. There's a lot of work to go right now for eBRO to kind of take Queso on and actually really solidify a lead.
Different build approach as well for Heish. He's having to go, obviously, very defensive, tanky build instead, as opposed to what Acolyte did in the previous game. Went very much for the damage early on and then get that Starks later on, but wasn't quite enough. Meanwhile, EBG still looking for something here. I mean, you always have that danger, right, with the Zyra account. We know that Ezis loves to go, loves to go looking for those kills. Jasty doesn't make it work. He tries to engage on it, and that's a gold card that worked out well. They even throw the Rift Herald down, which really didn't get a great deal from that one.
No, really well played. Great flash from Ruiz. Knew exactly the danger points that he had to play around. And they're going for a...
around the back! Not going to work out. Acolyte, no. Double flash away. He still managed to get him down. And they're going to catch one on the tower as well. With a little slice and dice away on Jasly. And that is a double pickup for Queso.
As good as eBRO were around those first two objectives, they have not been managing their lanes and their rotations particularly well. They have been caught out by Queso's proactivity on the map, and you can see that eBRO just not quite sure how to secure their own side of the jungle, which is now allowing Team Queso to freely move through. That blue side jungle is lit up by Queso wards right now. Nothing there for eBRO. Take a look back at the Axe replay here and see exactly how this went down. Jastly just overcommitted. It was the flash from Ruiz that caught him off guard, and unfortunately, once that initial Rakan engage is gone, you don't really have much left in the tank to follow up. Great little lock-up onto Jastly, and Acolyte jumps in. The charm to try and get himself away, but he just flash ignites him to make sure he goes down. Did a great start. Another engage.
Big engage. That's a great knock-up from the Rakan. Great grand challenge. The hero's entrance was backed up, though, on from Memorize to the layer on top of it, unfortunately, for EBG, and that does mean that Ezra's went down, but it was picked off there, so a 1-for-1 trade. Oh no, he just walked straight into that. You've got to be expecting the gold card there. Justly, luckily able to get out of that with the Rakan.
But it's the setup before the Infernal, which is the most important thing for Team Queso right now. They've burnt a lot of key ultimates. You can see H coming round to try and buy some time, but Andre takes this down too quickly, and that'll be a free Infernal for Team Queso. 5k gold ahead. Not as dominant as the first. Oh, that's a bit of an overextension.
Yeah, but it's a red card. It wasn't a gold, so Ruiz doesn't have any mana, by the way, left. He will be able enough to pull a card out in a minute. Acolyte can't get involved. He's got to pull away from this one. Ruiz getting focused down. The Aurelia Soul coming in and putting quite a bit of damage down this time from Tix.
Yeah, that mid lane tower is like millimeters from dropping. That's not the right term for a tower health, but it's close to going down, so they have to be so careful about the way they defend it. That mid lane fight has allowed eBRO Gaming to pick up the second Rift Herald of the game. If they want to drop that mid, that is a free tower, but obviously, you know, you could tickle that tower and it will go down right now, so they might want to use it for something more effective, especially when setting up for maybe the next Drake 2. eBRO keeping themselves in punching range of Team Queso, but 6,000 gold is pretty significant at this stage in the game. And you have to realize the scaling, apart from the Aurelian Soul, the scaling is wildly in favor of Team Queso. And so when it comes to the late game, and when it comes to the way that they want to play these fights, that's Ruiz getting caught out, though.
He has got caught out, but Andre just joins there. He just picked up the red buff as well. Yeah, comes straight through, takes out Isis immediately, and they're all just grouping up. He's just popping that shotgun off. They're locked in place. The hero's entrance comes down. Acolyte's just going to run on through the team. Tix tries to get away from that one. He'll be finished off as well. And Acolyte turns straight into Jastly. He can tank the turret, and everything goes Queso's way. Just about the worst timing on the engage, because everyone was collapsing for Queso.
Let's take a look again. Ruiz a little bit. I mean, that was wild from Ruiz, like a proto belt into the middle of the enemy team. No wonder eBRO Gaming wanted to punish him. But eBRO provides the exit strategy for Ruiz here, and again, Andre's just too strong at this point in time. Very difficult to take him down. Acolyte joins and flanks at the edge of the fight. Ruiz looks for a Twisted Fate ultimate to try and find another pick-off on the side. And Acolyte's too beefy. He's got so much gold. He's got so many items in his favor. The item spike's there for the Renekton right now. And Team Queso just utilizing their gold advantage. This is what we call a gold dip in team fights, by the way, Lee.
just a bit, right? They're utilizing it pretty damn well as well. The problem is that obviously they're stacking up the fights, and that's, you know, kind of what EBG almost have to do to funnel in. But when they funnel like that, it's leading into the damage from Acolyte, from Andre, from Ibu, from Memorize. They're just donking all that damage down on top of them. And just like that, yeah, Izzy's been looking to try and set those fights up. And I think we're into, you know, a situation as like the first game where it's almost trying to force the fights when there's no fight to be had.
Yeah, and I think you're now 10k gold down as well versus Queso. Like, you force the fights because it's the only thing that you feel you can do. I still think you lose this.
Yeah, Acolyte, I don't think he's going to come out on top, but now, of course, he has the Destiny help coming through. No gold card pulled out, though. I think he may have hit a minion with it.
Didn't realize we were seeing a reincarnation of Reginald this game.
I mean, TSM are in the tournament. Oh no,
no, they are. They are the
They're in the other group.
Ruiz almost getting caught out by the proto belt, but he'll be backed up by Ibu. This is Haitian versus the world right now. Another gold card from Ruiz should lock this down, but they're a little too close to safety, and you can see the again. Like, this is, I love this from eBRO, just going in, even when you're not going to win, just going in.
Just keep committing. It might pay off, but it's not going to happen once again. Kite tries to get away. The flash through is not enough. He gets caught out by the card from Ruiz, and another 3-0 as the game tumbles away. And Queso look to take control and head for Baron.
Yeah, I mean, they're in complete dominance right now. It's so difficult if you're eBRO. And like I said, it may look stupid what they're doing, But what the theory behind what eBRO are trying to do here is because Queso are so wildly split, and they have been across the map in both the last games, eBRO are trying to say, let's just go for the in-game.
Yeah, I mean, they caught Andre, right?
No, exactly. They caught Andre, but Andre's just too strong to focus down now. He's become that pseudo-tank that the Graves becomes later into the game. And I think eBRO have the right idea in theory. Like, they're trying to find man advantage picks. Like, if you're this far behind, like, they love it though, they love it. if you're this far behind, you know, when it comes to the global gold and item spikes, the only way that you do win is by forcing significant man advantages, and that's what they're trying to do. Like, I commend them for that, but it's just a gold diff right now, and there's nothing you can do about that.
He's just realized that's not the target he wanted. Go straight to Memorize, and Andre is there. And Andre, look at that! He just keeps on pushing. Collateral damage under the turret. Bound up minions coming through. Meanwhile, in the jungle, eBRO now going off on Kite. That is not a fair fight anymore, I'm afraid. eBRO is way too far ahead in terms of item spikes on that Senna. And the turrets will fall. And this should be a quick 2-0. For Queso, a game that in fairness both these teams really need to win in their groups. It is a tough group ahead of them. Both these teams will be up against it, there's no doubt about it, but Queso will be delighted with the start that they have had, a 2-0 over eBRO.
And I think, as I've reiterated throughout this series, if you're a Queso fan, this is the result that you needed to see. Not just wanted, you needed to see this result. And the reason being is that Queso, there are question marks about how their scrims have been going. Some info on the ground is that they haven't been having the best of times. And I think as a European fan, you want your team to kind of represent the region and kind of like really show that we're a powerhouse to be contended with. If you're struggling against a team that has clearly come in as the major underdogs, then it doesn't bode well. So the fact that they were incredibly dominant, that's a good sign if you're a European Queso fan, because that's what you need to see coming into this series.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in terms of confidence as well, it's something that could work out for Queso. We know they're a confidence-building team. That will give them a lot of motivation going forward. And sure, you know, they've all had scrims. They may well have realized that we possibly could be picking this game up quite well. But certainly from a European perspective, it's great to see Queso going out there and delivering. They certainly did it on LAN in Stockholm for the Origin series, and obviously they are the European representatives. What are you trying to do, Ruiz? Oh, they just want a simple selfie shot. There we go. Smile for the camera, boys. There we go. Wonderful stuff. Team Queso, your winners here. 2-0. Simple victory overall. I don't think, in fairness, we saw anything new, though, from Queso. Did we?
No, we didn't see much new. I think this is kind of what the bread and butter of the Queso comps that we were expecting. And I think that's what they needed to do. You know, they didn't need to show anything exciting versus, you know, eBRO. eBRO are technically the weakest team in the group by all analyst standards, and so therefore, if you want to just go in and play comfort and play what you're good at to secure the win, that was probably the correct decision from Team Queso. And they look good. They're cheeky. They're having fun, and that's what we like to see from them, because that's the personality that drove them through the Origin series. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm quite happy to see Queso perform the way they did. I think I was a little worried. I was hoping that they'd transfer that same live environment buff that they had from the Origin series over to the Horizon Cup, and they did, which was absolutely fantastic to see. I can't really analyze this more than they were just a better team. Like their fundamentals were just clearly better at every stage in the game. You know, eBRO's philosophy of, you know, go hard or go home, probably works when you're winning and you're the best in the region, but clearly when you need to be a bit more strategic about the game and you need to think a little bit more about how to tackle opposition, it didn't work as well.
Well, that is it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go over to Kangas and the gang to break down the games.